Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Swami Jyotirmayananda Society, our journey to self realization. Please subscribe for the mystical meanings and to enjoy daily satsang. We are currently exploring the scripture Srimad Bhagavad Gita, commentaries by my worshipful Guruji Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. We are currently on chapter number 18, and in today's satsang, we will start from shloka number 49. Lord Krishna continues to guide Arjuna about the various aspects of the body, mind, intellect, ego, and the three gunas, the three modes of nature of sattva, rajas, and tamas, and how each of them impacts our thinking. So, shloka 49, he continues. असक्त बुद्धिः सर्वत्र जितात्मा विगतस्पृहः नैष्कर्म्य सिद्धिं परमां संन्यासेनाधिगच्छति. He who possesses an intellect that is detached in every way, who has controlled his mind and is free from all desires, he attains perfection through renunciation. So, here Lord Krishna is saying that yogi, that aspirant, renunciate, who has uh, highly purified himself, his intellect is now detached from the worldly process, not by force but spontaneously. He has evolved to that stage and has controlled his mind. Normally, controlling the mind is not an easy task, as you know, but this yogi, these advanced aspirants, have controlled their mind, which means they are able to um, meditate, do the things that they need to do without the agitation of the mind, and also they have controlled desires. As you know, most people have this disease of desires. It is unending, like trying to drink salty water from the ocean. The more you drink, the more thirsty you get. So therefore, such a person is fit through renunciation, and he will attain perfection, meaning enlightenment, glory of self-realization. All these things come to these serious aspirants. Mind you, it doesn't happen on its own. A lot of effort has been going on over several lifetimes for a yogi to get this beautiful blessing, and it comes through self-effort and divine grace, both. So shloka 50, सिद्धिं प्राप्तो यथा ब्रह्म तथाप्नोति निबोध मे समासेनैव कौन्तेय निष्ठा ज्ञानस्य वा परा. O son of Kunti, hear now from me the manner in which one having attained perfection attains Brahman, that which is the highest culmination of wisdom. So, how magnanimous and glorious and grateful of God to give us this blessing. How can we express our gratitude to Him? So now, voluntarily, he is trying to shed that knowledge, share it with Arjuna. Arjuna meaning all of us. O son of Kunti, now hear from me the manner in which one having gained perfection. So after we gain perfection, what happens? You attain perfection of Brahman, the cosmic entity which is non-dual, all from where the whole cosmos emanates. And so that is which is the highest culmination of wisdom. Everything else we do in this world realm of the world system is intellectual knowledge. It is needed. Intellectual knowledge is not to be slighted. It is needed to succeed in the world. Through this knowledge we become doctors, engineers, space scientists, etc. Through this knowledge we have reached the moon and the Mars and all these planets, etc. But this knowledge is still going to keep us in the worldly realm, and the knowledge that we are trying to acquire, that gives us self realization or enlightenment transcends space and time. So all this worldly knowledge is within the confines of space and time. That is the difference. And therefore God is saying one who attains Brahman will get the highest culmination of wisdom, and that comes through divine grace, through the blessings of sages and saints, and through your own self effort. Shloka number 51. बुद्ध्या विशुद्धया युक्तो धृत्यात्मानं नियम्य च शब्दादीन् विषयांस्त्वक्त्वा रागद्वेषो व्युदस्य च. Endowed with a pure intellect, firmly controlling the mind and the senses, having renounced sound and other objects of the senses, and abandoning attachment and hatred. So, here God is explaining the practices that the serious aspirants, yogis, sages and saints have to go through to experience this nectar. So here God is saying endowed with a pure intellect. And how does the intellect become pure? By total integration of your personality, body, mind, senses, intellect, ego, and following the practices of integral yoga. All these elements come in harmony. So therefore the intellect then becomes pure. It doesn't want to run to the world. It is not intoxicated by the sense objects, etc. It is firmly established in Brahman or God, firmly controlling the mind and senses. So that intellect is like a chariot driver who is controlling the reins and the horses, and he doesn't let them go wherever they want to. That's what me is meant by controlling the mind. And having renounced the objects of the senses, clearly, because if the horses themselves are going towards the objects, the mind will also get agitated. But since the intellect is pure, the mind is following the dictates of the intellect, and therefore the senses are not agitated anymore, because the senses can't affect you if the mind is not involved. It's only when the mind is involved do we get impacted. So therefore, if all these things are happening, so this yogi then abandons attachment and hatred also. He sees the whole world as his family, the entire universe as his home, and he has given up, this is mine, this is my possession, this is my child, my house. Although he has all these things, he is dealing with them, but internally he is totally resigned, and he sees everybody as his family. So it's not that he loves his family less, it's just that his love is overflowing for everybody else also. His expansion of consciousness is enveloping the entire world. So therefore that is that state. And also hatred is no longer required, or it is effaced for such a saint, for such a yogi. He doesn't hate anything. So therefore, as I always say, we shouldn't use the word I hate this, I hate this. We should say I dislike it, because hatred kind of sows the seeds of those impressions, and every time you see those things, you kind of repel, and then they further, the roots go deeper. So therefore we want to be um, have equanimity of mind. If you see something that is unpleasant, that you don't like, just say, avoid it, you dislike it, that's okay. But to hate it, it becomes too strong, and those impressions then start to take root. So therefore these sages and saints, they are beyond pleasure and pain, hatred and attachment, etc. That's the meaning of this shloka. So here Lord is saying, in order to reach that state of Brahman, what all do people have to do? What kinds of sadhana, what kinds of practices, what is God expecting expecting us to do before his mercy comes like a torrential rain and blesses us with it. There's a technical term in Sanskrit, it's called dharma megha. Dharma megha means the reflective rain of God's blessings, and when that comes, you are firmly established in Brahman, in God, and that is a very high state of spirituality. Moving on to Shloka 52. विविक्त सेवी लघ्वाशी यत्वा काय मानसः ध्यान योग परो नित्यं वैराग्यं समुपाश्रितः. Living in solitude, eating but little, engaged in controlling speech, body, and mind, ever devoted to the yoga of meditation and taking refuge in dispassion. So, these are all the signs of highly elevated sages and saints who have developed their practice to this extent where it becomes spontaneous and over a long period of time. These things don't happen instantly. So, you need to have a lot of patience, enjoy the journey, and with every day you are progressing on that path, and be happy in this world and also in the other world when you meditate and you go deeper. So find joy and express gratitude in all things. So these yogis, they enjoy living in solitude. Now let's understand what solitude means. It doesn't mean just being in the Himalayas in a cave somewhere where only the river is flowing, gentle breeze, and beautiful scenes. That would be nice, but it's not practical for most people because they also have to work, they also have to earn a living, they also have to survive, eat food, etc. So, solitude here means being in your own self. You may be in New York City, you may be in Chicago or Manhattan or in Australia or some busy place, or in India, in Delhi. But what it really means is that you, even though you are in the world, inwardly you are in solitude, you are by yourself, you are viewing all this busyness as waves in the ocean, and you simply are not impacted by the drama of everyday life. You enjoy your serenity in your little Manhattan apartment. Before you go to work, you have spent your 1 hour in meditation or 30 minutes, and that is the solitude Lord Krishna is talking about. So don't confuse it with resigning and becoming miserable for the rest of your life. Just running away to a forest is never the answer. So eating but little meaning their needs are very few at that point. They, because if you overfill your stomach, how can you meditate for long? So they eat very little, meaning most of their time is in sadhana, in intensive practice, and they are engaged in controlling speech, body, and mind. That is a constant practice, it doesn't happen overnight. Normally see how our reflex reactions come up, how anger spits out, how jealousy shows up its ugly face, passion, lust, greed, jealousy, all these things are attachments, hatred, all these things will not go so easily. Therefore we have to repeatedly practice, and that happens when we control our speech. If somebody says something harsh, digest it. Don't be angry, just ignore it, just like a doctor ignores a sick patient. I mean, his verbal abuse of a sick patient, he simply treats the patient and he moves on. He knows he's sick. Much in the same way, accept people's abuses or sometimes unjust things, because these are tests on your spiritual path. If you react the same way, then what's the difference between you being a spiritual sadhak or an advanced aspirant versus a worldly person? So we have a higher burden to carry, a bigger load, and therefore it's for our good and for the good of the world also, because then you become a role model for others, and the person who yelled at you will at some point uh, have his conscience pinched, because he will realize he was unjust at some point, and that you tolerated it, and you could have done something but you didn't. So controlling the body, meaning having yoga as a daily support, where your body is comfortable and at ease. So ever devoted to the yoga of meditation and taking refuge in dispassion, vairagya. So these are beautiful, beautiful qualities to aspire for. So with this, we conclude our satsang for today. We will start from shloka number 53 in tomorrow's satsang. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Hari Om Tat Sat.